So guys, if you can, please subscribe to the channel and please smash the like button on this video. So guys, check this next story out. A man blew up his auntie's kitchen whilst experimenting with explosives after he's convicted of terror offences. Vaughn Dolphin filmed the kitchen filling up with smoke after he tried to manufacture homemade explosives. The 20-year-old was seen wearing a gas mask, and he said that it was a bad idea and that he had started to choke when the explosives went off as he attempted to blend the mixture on a hob.
Yeah, so that was a bad idea. Yeah, it was so bad carbon monoxide meter went off. Yeah, I started choking, so I had to put this on. Well, you live and you learn. But it was like a massive, literally massive pink purple fireball, and it burned, it was sick.
Bragging about causing an awesome fireball in a series of selfie videos later posted in some extreme chat rooms, he complained, the bastard fucking mixture set itself prematurely, oh my god, and then quipped, next time I'll do this outside, but well, you live and you learn. And today, Dolphin of Aldridge in the West Midlands was convicted of explosives, terrorism and firearms offences at Birmingham Crown Court. When he was arrested on June the 27th, 2022, he told the police, "I'm not a terrorist, okay?" However, at his home, officers uncovered a treasure trove of how-to guides on how to build a shotgun and homemade plastic explosives and how to conduct arson attacks. Also discovered was a host of racist material, as well as an aluminium gun barrel drilled by Dolphin in his garden shed to make a rudimentary musket which police described as a viable firearm. He was involved in these extremist chat messaging groups bragging about his exploits to others. In a series of selfie videos, he also shared the aftermath of his bungling and high-risky actions from his house, footage which helped incriminate him. Dolphin was also further convicted of unlawful possession of a firearm. So speaking after his conviction, the commander of West Midlands counter-terrorism unit described that Dolphin had been radicalised and become someone with the intention to create really dangerous material. Chief Superintendent Mark Payne said Vaughn Dolphin was a young man who sought out online extremist conversation and engaged in chat boards, and then he went from that to acquiring explosive material and ingredients. He sought out and acquired information on how to manufacture firearms and then made a viable firearm, and he shared footage of other incidents from around the world to other people. He said, so this was clearly a young man with a really dangerous mindset who sought and acquired access to material that would have caused harm to other people. I've got no doubt at all that his intent was to cause great harm. He described the footage in a recorded videos by Dolphin, at which point he had to wear a gas mask because of the smoke. Detective Payne said that footage shows the aftermath of the explosion. He's been trying to manufacture explosive material, and the process of making that material, it has exploded. Detective Chief Superintendent Mark Payne also went on to say Dolphin had claimed he had an interest in chemicals and military memorabilia. However, he combined a toxic, extremist mindset, sharing right-wing material online with real-world acquisition of explosive material and homemade weapons. His mindset is one of a dangerous man, individual equipping themselves to harm others who did not look like him or who he disagreed with. Extremists use this kind of ideology to create discord, distrust and fear among our communities. Our work to target dangerous individuals continues. Absolute madness, guys. And in a new story coming from Birmingham ways, a father of 4 was stabbed within 8 seconds of entering a nightclub by a gang member who called himself the Grim Reaper. Robert West died of massive blood loss shortly after a knife was plunged into his chest by Rashadi Powell. Powell, who's 20 years old, of Walsall, who had previously admitted a charge of manslaughter, was sentenced to 8 years and 3 months in a young offenders institution. Mr. West, who was known as Bob Fresh, had driven to the Cross Keys banqueting suite in Ladywood on February the 21st last year in the early hours of the morning. Simon Dennison, the KC prosecuting at Birmingham Crown Court, said the victim was a father of 4 and had gone into the club briefly before returning to his car. Powell and 2 others, Ashan Diaguilar and Tyreek Walker, were each armed with knives, and they arrived shortly afterwards and went into the club and stood by the entrance. Mr. West then got out of his car and went back into the club. As soon as Mr. West entered, this defendant Powell saw him and recognised him. He reacted immediately by leaning into the others and seems to have said something indicating that Mr. West was there because D'Aguilar and Walker looked towards him. The defendant and D'Aguilar each took out their knives. It's believed Powell moved behind D'Aguilar and Walker, and Mr. West reacted by throwing a punch towards Walker with his right hand. Before he was thrown a punch, the defendant had moved in towards him and stabbed him in the abdomen, and everyone scattered. The prosecutor said that by this time the victim was seen with a machete in a sheath, but he did not appear to have it when the defendants took out their knives or when he went to throw a punch. The prosecutor said everything happened very quickly and that Mr. West was stabbed within 8 seconds of entering the club. He initially did not realise he had been stabbed, but then collapsed on the pavements where he died. So I just want to say rest in peace, Mr. West, and my condolences go out to your family. It's believed the blade had penetrated 12 centimetres into his abdomen, cutting the aorta, causing rapid blood loss. The prosecutor went on the prosecution say that the defendant lived a violent lifestyle in which he habitually carried knives or weapons ready to be used if the occasion arose. He said Powell had been seriously injured twice himself. He said in a psychiatric assessment that he was a member of a gang and that he did bad things. The prosecutor said his phone was seized and images of knives were found on the device. There were messages on his phone which showed him referring to himself as the Grim Reaper, and he was considering changing his name to Grim Reaper in other similar messages. And it's believed that there was plainly a history of hostility between him and Robert West. So D'Aguilar of Handsworth and Walker of Shirley admitted possessing knives, and they were sentenced at previous hearings to 20 months and 19 months respectively. So in passing sentence, Mr. Justice Chowdhury said, "You tried to minimise your actions but have no hesitation in rejecting any suggestion that the stabbing was an accident. You deliberately stabbed Mr. West as he attacked Walker. You demonstrated little understanding the devastating consequences of your actions for Mr. West and his family. You lashed out at Mr. West, at the very least being reckless as to what harm was caused. I accept the attack that night was not premeditated. You went to the club possibly to sell drugs rather than to look for Mr. West. Your attack was prompted by seeing Mr. West, who you regarded as a threat." The defence solicitor for him said that it was the victim who had gone over to the group and thrown a punch, and that Powell had carried a knife for his own protection after he had been seriously injured in an attack on himself. So guys, there's a few news stories coming from the streets of the UK. Once again, if you can, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Please smash the like on this video and also leave a comment below. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.